Welcome to Forever Exiled, the Path of Exile podcast. I am Justin, aka Tags.
Tyler, Record of Days. Oh, I want to
Episode
sing it, and I
88.
just said it too fast. 88!
Oh, After Dark, you can sing it.
Yeah, you remember Lindros, right? You remember the drama when Eric Lindros got drafted and then refused to play for the Nordiques?
Yep.
You know how long it took Canadians to like Lindros again?
Do they even now?
Yeah, he ended up being awesome, and then everybody felt sorry for him because he played in the Scott Stevens era, so...
Yeah, didn't he go out with just boatloads of concussions?
Boatloads, and you can thank Scott Stevens for 90% of them. Man, you played the Devils back then, and whew,
The
it was
Devils
like...
were dirty.
Oh, it was like playing the Flyers, but he was huge, so... Yeah, Lindros.
Yep, 88.
The ultimate of round numbers.
Yeah, besides episode 0, can't beat it.
Thanks, Just.
Right?
Right.
888. Mm-hmm.
Way better than 88.
We'll be playing PoE 1 still.
Hey, it'll be a really good PoE 1 if we are, and they can take as much time as they want on PoE 2. That's what we've said
Debatable.
many times. Oh, please.
Anyway, big shout out to all of our patrons for supporting the podcast. You guys are awesome. If you're curious what our Patreon is, you can find the information down below. Biggest benefit is you get access to After Dark, which is our podcast after the podcast, where we just talk more about PoE stuff, things, random stuff. You never know what you're going to get. Could be anything. But anyway,
We don't even
thank you
know.
guys for supporting us. You
Yes,
rock. We love your
very much.
faces. Also, happy Father's Day.
Yeah, you too.
This comes out on Happy Father's Day. This comes out on Father's Day.
Comes out
Yeah.
on Father's Day. Yeah, so hey,
Yeah, so Father, okay, sure, to us, yeah, but to listeners too.
bon fête, Just. Bon fête.
Mon ami.
Hey, look at you. Yeah, happy Father's Day, everyone. All you fathers out there, and even those that are trying. Way to go.
It's awesome.
Wait,
How's your
wait,
week? Oh,
a father. Hang on, I gotta put my hat on. I know we
I thought
just
you were going to
started,
go more
but
graphic with that one.
I can't hear you. I don't even have my headset on. What'd you say?
Why didn't you start with the hat on?
I didn't. I thought I wanted it to have it off, but then I didn't.
Good choice.
You realize after, it's like, I'd like pizza for dinner. And then right after you order pizza, you're like, no, definitely didn't want pizza. I wanted
I don't think I've
something
ever
else.
had that. Ever. How was your week?
I had a good week. Let's see. COVID restrictions got lifted again for us in our area, hey? Our province of BC has a 4-stage setup system ready to go.
4 steps, yep.
Yeah, and hopefully life will be back to normal for us in September. I think I mentioned this a week or two ago for us, but yeah, so we're stage 2. It's only going to last 2 weeks, but goodness, we can have like outdoor get-togethers of up to 50 people, as long as you trust them.
Mhm. Yep,
Still don't
it's
want to go
awesome.
hang out with people that have been completely ignoring COVID protocols, but yeah, like you can still get it, of course. I only have one shot. You only have one shot?
Yeah, I would love to have 2. I'd feel a little bit more, comfortable out there, but no, we're not at 2 yet. In our age bracket, and because we're like healthy individuals, we're not there yet, but we should be. I'm hopefully by the end of certainly by the end of July. I think it'll be even closer to middle of July that we should be having our second one.
Yeah. So you know how Chris was bugging you to put the Monaco GP on a projector on the back and we could watch in the backyard? Now you can do it.
Yes.
Now you can
Oh,
do
thank
it.
goodness. Woohoo.
Yeah. French GP this weekend, so feel free to get on that. But yeah, so it's kind of exciting. And because of that, like my daughter was invited to a kid's birthday party a few weeks ago at school, and we said no, right? COVID. The protocols where we are it technically wasn't something we should be doing, so we said no. And my son got invited just this week for something tomorrow, and we said yes, because it's an outdoor get-together.
Oh, I hope he's throwing that in his sister's face.
Nah, she. Oh my goodness, she is
I
as
know she's
sensitive
fine.
as it gets. She
I know.
would like melt down. No, we explained it to her. She's good, but it was I don't know.
Is it at home? Is it at somebody's house, or is it at a
Yeah,
place?
I think
or
it's
what?
at one of the grandparents' place and on a farm, just massive
Nice.
area. Yeah, just gonna hang out, bring a bathing suit type of thing. So yeah, but first time in like 18 months, I brought a kid to a store.
That you have?
Yeah,
Oh, you
like
haven't-
we
okay.
haven't let the kids go to
Sure.
stores or anything like that. We have a fine house. There's nothing wrong with it. Obviously, they're going to school. The school that our kids go to has been fantastic with COVID protocols and keeping things safe, but efficient. But today was the first day, just because things have opened up for us in the stage 2 program for us. This is the first time either of my kids have been to a store in 18 months. So brought him to the store. He picked what he wanted to give for his gift. I gave him a budget, and I'm trying to teach them budget. So he's a kindergarten kid trying to like, okay, well, this is $20 and I can only spend $25 before tax. So it was kind of fun to watch him do that, and figured it out, got him 2 gifts. I had a busy week, but it was a relaxing week. You know those weeks where it's like go, 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 but it's stuff you're familiar with. All of a sudden it's the end. It was good. I had a good time. Oh, I was taking the dog for a walk after I dropped the kids off for school a few days ago, and I saw a massive flat deck near your house. So I just assumed it was for you
My lawn
in
was
your
coming up.
house. It's something, I don't know. I just assumed like somebody was like adding another level to your house, or someone was dropping off your Ferrari, or you were getting a new lawn put on. So was it you? Did you have a massive flatbed truck?
No, it was like house like 2 down from me. I don't know what they were doing.
So you don't have like your spyglass ready to go? You didn't tell your 11-year-old to go figure it out?
Nope. I drove though to this week down the road and saw some idiot walking a dog while reading a book. So I made sure to yell at him.
That was awesome. I loved it. It's because it's so funny because you can't even hear the first half of a sentence when that's happening.
Right.
Like you're trying
Yeah.
so hard to say it right, or like even if, especially if you're mad, you don't want to screw it up. But when you drove by me, it was like, what'd you say? Something like
I yelled "Hey" first to make sure you would look, and I was like something about you're gonna. I don't remember what I even yelled. I just remember yelling something and just continuing on.
I only heard the last half of it, but anyway, you're still a dick.
Yeah, your head was like halfway up.
Thanks for saying it.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see. I look up. I have
Well,
ears. I can hear. I have never
it just
walked
made
into
me laugh.
anybody, and I've never tripped. I only trip when I'm paying attention. That's the concussion life for you. You focus, you're done. Zone out, you're fine, or fall asleep. Anyway, yeah, it was good. It was low key, but it's nice to see these changes, and it's exciting. Maybe we'll be able to see our group play some board games outside on a non-windy day, hopefully. Anyway, how was your week?
It was really good. Really busy with work. We're kind of not bypassing. We're kind of ignoring the change that happened, and because there's a new change that's hopefully coming in on July 2nd. I think after the long weekend.
Oh, you've just jumped to stage 3?
No, we're actually just waiting till stage 3 to even do any of the stuff that was opened in stage 2, because the problem is WorkSafe BC doesn't line up with the government of BC very well.
Oh, I understand.
So WorkSafe BC hasn't updated any of their stuff. So there's a lot of gray area as to like what you could or could not do, and we don't want to take the chance of getting us or any of our staff or people into that weird spot. So we've just asked people to wait until that announcement, and then we're going to go full board. So I cannot wait until we get to that one.
Yeah, totally.
So makes a big difference. So I'm pretty excited for it.
That'll be insane. That's almost life to normal. Almost. Like the kids
Really
are
close.
they're going to go for a sleepover at my mom's place just after that change happens. They've been excited for forever. They packed their bags literally last week.
That's awesome.
Or their suitcases have been at the door for over a week.
We're going away in end of July, so this stage 2 one already lets us at least now do that without breaking the rules.
Oh, the end of July. That's right. You had your money set aside. Yeah, good for you. Where are you going? Can you say?
Yeah, up to Sun Peaks.
Oh, awesome.
So it's a mountain in BC.
Yeah, we used to go there all the time, man. I was looking at pictures like that the other day, back when people like actually printed pictures. I was looking at pictures of all of us, and
oh man, we had some crazy trips up there.
Oh, it's awesome.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
So we're gonna go up there for a bit. What else did I do this week? It literally was work. I was in meetings all week, and then Path of Exile. Now hold on, I need to tell you something. You know how every episode, every time we record, we both throw our phones on D&D.
Yeah, do not disturb.
Do not disturb, not Dungeons and Dragons.
But I would love it.
I was doing some work this week, and I had my phone on D&D, and a phone call came in, and this happens sometimes when you and I are recording, even where I'm like, what the hell? Why is my phone making noise? Like D&D means do not disturb, and I have like, besides if you're a starred contact,
right?
Don't make noise. But I'm getting phone calls from random calls, and so I started looking through the settings. Why is there a setting to allow phone calls through while you're on D&D? It's an actual setting to allow phone calls, all phone calls through.
So you've been on D&D, but you didn't double check your D&D settings, and so now all this stuff's been
not
coming through.
Apparently,
that's awesome.
By default, it was like, oh sure, allow phone calls from everyone is what the setting was. I'm like, what is the point of
That's
D&D
awesome.
to allow phone calls? Anyway, I figured it out.
Oh, good for you.
It's all working now. But yeah, my week, it was fine, man. It was really busy. We had we're getting close to the end of school. July is actually going to be a nightmare for us just because our daycare is closing for July and August.
Yeah.
So,
well, when your kids are allowed to hang out with us, just throw your kids over here.
Well, my mother-in-law is retiring, so she's going to be watching them for a bit through August, and then daycare will be back up in September. So
That's her living the dream right there. I'm retiring so I can take care of more kids. That's what I want to do.
We're paying her.
Whoa.
So like I'm not gonna just drop my kids off.
Hey, everybody except for you does that. Good for you, paying her.
No,
That's
I
awesome.
feel bad about it. I feel bad
Totally.
just like leaving my kids with somebody who's already raised their kids. She wants to.
Yeah.
And she's only taking the 2 little ones and they are excited to go. So yeah, no, my week was awesome. Crazy with work. I cannot wait for these restrictions to come around and just chill out. I have seen some hilarious videos out there like circulating of, because in the States it's obviously changed as well. And now in BC and in other parts of Canada, they're starting to get back into like bring people back into work now. And some videos are just hilarious of people just, not knowing how to act in a social environment anymore.
Hey, yeah. Hang on, I have to sneeze.
So,
and they're like running out the building.
So anyway, it was, I was laughing too. People were like, I'm going to burn my mask. I'm like, why? We're in September and October. They're coming back. Every single flu season now.
Yeah.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
You want to know the best part about COVID was we had almost no colds in our house.
Yeah, it was
for
great.
The whole year.
So cool. Barely got sick.
That never happens with 4 kids. Oh my God. It's like a cold after a cold. It's ridiculous.
It'll be crazy. And
I'm excited.
You know what? This isn't the first SARS to reach our area, right? I mean, the other one, the last SARS that we got, barely touched Canada, but it did dramatically impact a lot of other places in the globe. But it's not going to be the last SARS to hit us either. There's going to be something else. Keep that mask.
Those 2 are so different, but the masks are not gone. There's no way. That's a forever thing.
And save your toilet paper. Remember our area of the world, there was this hilarious thing where people thought they would. Anyway, did you care about, now we'll get to PoE in a quick sec, but E3 just happened this past weekend. And so I just want to ask did you care about E3?
No, not really. I mean, I did hear some stuff, but I'm not a big like, hey, look what might come out in the next 2 years. That doesn't interest me at all. I want to know, hey, look what's coming out tomorrow. Oh, okay, cool.
That's my, that I've referenced 1,000 times, how Fallout 4 came out with Bethesda. I you know what, it's funny. I'm married to Path of Exile. I'll always play it. Even when it was crap, I always played it. Like crap, like I'm saying, like what was that, Heist, I think, 313, whatever the league was. I think it was just last league where I could barely play it. I still, like, that was the only game I thought about. I barely played other games unless I was playing co-op with people that don't play PoE. So I don't know why I get excited for E3. Like, it's cool to see other games there, but like I'm not going to play them almost ever. And if I am going to play a game that's not PoE, it's because it's going to be on a crazy sale a year after it's released. So I really don't know why, but I enjoy it.
Did you watch all of it?
It was on in the background, and then I
watched a little bit while you were streaming.
Oh, yeah. I guess when I was broadcasting and E3 was still on, I had it on in the background too. Then like I just refreshed like IGN or GameSpot, whoever it was. I just refreshed their Twitter every now and then just to see, they'll tell you everything that's happened. I'm like, oh, this happened. I missed that video. Let's check it out. So obviously it was a COVID E3. Poor E3 organizers. Like, what are you going to show for 3 full days?
Do you mean because people don't show up or because companies don't want to come?
Well, games are still being made, just probably not at the same pace. And so I don't know what E3 charges or how that background works of finance, but almost nobody showed up.
Oh, again, are you talking about people or are you talking about developers?
Companies showing up to E3, because the majority of E3 was just little videos of people sharing opinions, streamers.
Almost every time I pulled up your stream, it was like people sitting in stupid Tetris chairs or weird seats having conversations, and I was like, nah.
And so I felt kind of bad, like E3's really trying to make do. Microsoft showed up. Nintendo had an entire day, but all they did was basically let's play. They played like Mario Party for 4 hours. So anyway.
That doesn't seem bad.
We love our Mario Party. But
especially
big disappointments for me. Ubisoft even showed up too, but no Splinter Cell. Again. Before E3, they announced a Splinter Cell Netflix anime, which obviously I'll watch, but think about this. They actually missed an entire generation of consoles with Splinter Cell. The last Splinter Cell was Blacklist, and that came out for the 360.
Maybe they're not making it anymore. Maybe they're just done with it. As a
Splinter Cell fan, they're not done with it. Otherwise, they would be like, they wouldn't be in with Netflix.
I love how you're like, they're not done with it.
No, they can't be. But here's the thing. I'm a fan of Splinter Cell. So if you're done with it, give it to someone that can feed me Splinter Cell. There was no Deus Ex. I wasn't expecting Deus Ex, but anytime I say Square Enix, I want Hitman and Deus Ex to show something cool. So Hitman, nothing official, but they're coming out with a mobile game. Yippee yip! And I was really stoked for Fable because they had last E3. They had a hilarious Fable video. So I'm like, okay, sweet. Where's the prog? Oh, not even a mention. So I was kind of disappointed.
Oh, really?
With that.
Wow.
But did you see the Outer Worlds 2 trailer? I think I sent you the link.
You sent it to me. I didn't watch it. I'm sorry.
No. It's okay.
I will.
It will make you piss your pants. It makes fun of video game trailers and like really early announcements like nobody's business. Good. I laughed and I laughed and I laughed. Watch it before After Dark. Make that your thing before After Dark. It really was hilarious. Okay, so remember when I lived at the apartment? I don't remember, probably pre-kids as well, but before you were like a snooty PC only guy, you played Borderlands with my wife and I all the time. You remember? But it was like kind of when I was learning about my concussion stuff and figuring it all out, my limitations. That's a horrible game for me concussion-wise because it's very flashy, very bright. It's first person, lots of jumping. Like it's everything a concussion person shouldn't do.
So fun though.
I loved it. But I think I discovered like my symptoms really started colliding around Borderlands 2, I think it was. So I would fall asleep all the time while we were playing, and then you and my wife would just keep playing and laugh at me while I'm sleeping on the couch beside her. But
seems right.
But I've still been a big fan of the series, despite the fact that I can't play it anymore. So I wasn't able to play the pre-sequel, wasn't able to touch Borderlands 3, but they're coming out with a movie. Did you see the cast?
Is Kevin Hart in it?
Kevin Hart, yeah. Jack Black. Who? Oh my goodness, I love her. What's her name? She plays.
Wait, didn't they just do like Jumanji? What was the movie that Jack Black and Kevin Hart just did with The Rock? It was a Jumanji one. It was like a remake of Jumanji.
Kinda, yeah.
So they're bringing that same cast? Like you've already got two of them.
Kate Blanchett's in it. Eli Roth's directing it. Oh my goodness, I can't wait. It's and the how they went about presenting it was really cool too.
Are they still gonna have Claptrap?
Yeah. I think that's Jack Black. Claptrap.
As the character though?
Like I think it's going to be animated. Oh. It's going to look like
really?
It. Yeah.
Interesting.
Among Us, you and I have played that a few times together with our group. It's getting a 15-player lobby.
Cool.
Oh, well, I know we don't have 15 friends, but we could.
I can't imagine 15 people trying to play that at once.
Oh, I would hate that
lot
Zoom
of
call,
talking.
man. I would hate that Zoom
right?
call.
Yeah.
But this is totally up our alley. Age of Empires 4.
Can't wait.
Officially announced. Showed lots of gameplay. October. That is going to be one of the rare non-PoE games that I'm a full price payer for.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't even know if I've
your
seen...
last line.
I swear there was once in like an indie section or a PC section that Path of Exile had a small section. I don't know if that's true, if my memory's playing tricks on me. But I always...
Wasn't that only like at the very beginning when they were brand new?
I don't
know.
Kind of like... It all blends
Yeah.
together for me. It was sometime yesterday ago. But every time there's like the PC segment section where it's just the general PC games that, you know, don't have a full-fledged floorboard or indie. I don't know if... Is GGG or PoE still considered indie? Are they too big for that?
I feel like they are still indie, but they're just a very high up indie.
Yeah. So
they're
anyway,
like a doing really well indie.
Yeah. So anyway, for both those segments, I'm always tuning in just in case there's like a PoE thing, but there wasn't.
Do you feel like they would tell people ahead of time though if there was going to be something?
I think they would show up after, and then they would just like present the YouTube video to us after, because if you're not like actually on the board, you don't know when you're showing up within that timeline. Anyway, E3, Age of Empires 4, that's it.
I think I sent you the trailer for Age of Empires 4 a while ago because Josh sent it to me.
I refused to watch it until you watched the other trailer I sent you.
I thought you already watched it.
I watched it. I've watched it 100 times. Yeah. I'm just a nice friend.
Well, probably not 100, like 3 tops, but it does look really good.
That's 300% more than you.
So we're going to talk about our private league in a minute, which will be more our week in PoE, but let's talk this week in PoE first, and then we'll get into, because we've got a lot to talk about with regards to the private league and how we did this week in PoE, because there's actually a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
So let's do this week in PoE first.
Lots of patches. I miss BoRat, man. I liked BoRat before it was cool, by the way, but anyway, no patches for console, Justin. I know you were curious, but also none for PC. Just a thing. They're just not there.
It's kind of always like this as you get, a little bit more towards when we get announcement time. You just don't see as many patches coming out.
I'm fine with that.
Especially last league, we saw, and I don't know if that's just a shift since their change in this whole way they're going to do things, but we even talked about this last league about the fact that there were not as many patches leading up to the announcement.
Yeah, I remember.
Is that maybe because they're going, okay, we're good here, we're working on development for the next league, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's actually it, or if they're all just like, yeah, let's take a break.
Yeah. I'm getting tired of talking about fan art, but it's but I like seeing them all. Like I still every time I'm like,
this is the end of it now.
Well, these are the runner-up. They posted the runner-ups for the fan art competition that they did. So we've seen lots of them. They've been in previous ones. I don't know, just wow, thanks for all the fan art. Look at these great things
like
that
the
have been
ones
submitted.
that didn't even make it.
Or when they're getting fan art all the time. Like they see it on Reddit or wherever on their website. They get it all the time, whether there's a competition or not. Then there were boss screenshots, which I thought was rad. And do you care about the highlights that they post about the more bigger name streamers doing something great or having an epic fail? They posted some for Zizrin's league. Is it
for the gauntlet?
Is it Zizarin? I always called it Zizarin, and then I would just have to copy and paste it because it's Zizaran.
Zizarin.
Oh.
I'm assuming it's Zizarin. No, I don't care. It's cool that they do it. That it's just a bunch of collections of videos of people doing stuff in the league.
Yeah, there was like 6 or 7 videos, and some of it was neat. I saw somebody though. This was kind of neat. So who's
getting these collections? Are these just things they're finding on Reddit?
I don't know.
Like
I don't know. Huh. Clips, maybe they're submitted. I don't know how. But so there's this guy, and I noticed the title of his broadcast is Portuguese, where he lives, Brazil, Portugal, wherever else, I don't know. But he's playing and shooting something. I can't see it off screen. I'm like, what's going on? There's like not even a skill. What's going on? They got a bow. All of a sudden, 6-link falls. And I'm like, oh, he got that 6-link from Hillock. And you should have seen the smile. Like, it was cool. Like, he's going, and it's live. It's in the gauntlet, right? So who knows how hard this guy is.
God, he's probably been farming it for like hours.
Yeah, second kill 3 hours later. And but the 6-link drops, and the smile on the dude's face was awesome. I'll watch that one a few more times. It was pretty cool. It was in the Ziz highlight link that they had. But yeah, it was kind of, I like seeing some of it. I'm not one of those celebrity guys where I get excited. Like I've run into Gretzky, I've run into a whole bunch of different celebrities, but if I'm not like, oh, can I have your autograph? Can I have this? Like when I saw BX at Disneyland, I just like, oh wow, cool, and then kept walking. So no one's gonna know who BX is except for us and maybe like the 2 other people in the Lower Mainland that listen. But
I didn't see them, but it's cool that they showed it. Is it because it's still going on?
Oh, yes, I guess it is for the next weekend, just like a private league. And so they had a lot of leftover merch as well from ExileCon. And they had a really cool post. They were thinking about fair ways to get rid of their merchandise, make money off their merchandise, I guess. And they didn't want just, the rich folk or the people that are willing to spend the money on merchandise to just overpay for it and they'd sell out, or someone that's working throughout the week not get a chance. So they're doing mystery bags of live merch, which is awesome. And they have it kind of evened out as best as they can. Wait, why? What are you going to whine about? There's nothing to whine about. What do you want?
I'm not whining. I just disagree. I don't think it's a good way to do it.
Why? What would you do?
I just don't like the idea of not knowing what shirts you're going to get. Like, it's just random. I mean, the size, but because it's $100, like, which is not cheap, plus shipping. And you just don't have it. I don't know, just without any input as to what those shirts might be. It's kind of, I'm not saying I have a better solution, but I just was like, I feel like there were better options. And the mystery box thing to me is kind of like people are iffy about that anyway in the game, the mystery box idea, right? So to throw that into real life, I think it's cool that people will buy stuff, but $100 for 2 shirts that you don't have any input on.
There's other stuff in there. It is pricey, but I still think it's fair at the same time, like, because there's other stuff that's in there too. It's not just 2 shirts.
But that's the random part. The rest is like you're going to get the jacket. It's the jacket, whatever it is.
The socks or the stuffy.
Yeah, the socks or the stuffies or whatever.
There's going to be people that don't care though. They just like sweet 2 shirts, and they probably don't even care which shirt it is. You know what I mean? I was checking them out just to say, oh wow, that's pretty neat. What did I miss out on? And I was going through, and I'm like, dude, you bought me everything except for a stuffy from ExileCon. So thanks. I mean, I could have used a stuffy, but thanks.
I got my kids the stuffy. I think I got almost all the shirts that I wanted
My
to,
goodness.
and the jacket.
Yeah, there was I went through every pack and I'm like, wow, I got something from each of these. This is I don't need any of this. This is great. So thank you very much.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that the whole mystery side of things is kind of,
It's not
when I read that, I was like, I don't like it.
Yeah, it's not for me. Last thing that they posted this week was, and congratulations to Kit Kat Noodle for getting a post for her, but she, the lore guru of PoE in the community, and maybe there's others, but she's definitely the one that I know of that knows lore in and out for PoE. She had a video about exploring exploring lore, not loot, in PoE 2. So I guess from the videos that have been released, I think there have been 2 trailers now for PoE 2. So I thought it was kind of neat. Got me started though on I've been wanting to do those lore videos that she's had out for forever, that playlist of lore, and I just haven't gotten around to it. I've always wanted to watch them and I just never get around to it. And then when I finally saw this, I'm like, that's it, she's already on to PoE 2. I gotta watch these. I gotta watch them quick. So I'm watching one lore video of hers a night until I'm all caught up.
And how far in are you?
1. Tonight will be the second night, so we got to cut After Dark short because I have a 17-minute video to watch after this.
Is that the average of them? Is that like 15, 20 minutes?
30, some are 15.
I would really like to, Kat, because I am curious about it. I watched the first, 60, 70 seconds of this one. And I think it's amazing to watch somebody that is that into the lore and knows all the different things. Like, she's talking about stuff that when she says the words, I'm like, Matt, you're making this up. This isn't in the game.
That's right. That's right. That? This week we watched episode 2 of Loki that came out on Disney Plus. We watched episode 2 with our in-laws. They have that share sync feature where you can just email whatever link, and you're actually
both watch at the same time.
Yeah, and if one person pauses it for both people. It was amazing.
We've done that too.
We
it's pretty sweet.
Should do that, you and I, even though this is a YouTube thing. We'll just go like a cute couple. 1, 2, 3, play, and we'll watch the lore videos together. 1 video a night, just date night, every night.
Oh, that's too much, Ty.
We don't have to do video.
How about once a week?
We'll never get finished.
How about one? How many videos?
Wait, every Monday you're going to want to watch a lore video with me? You got to keep up. There's no canceling. There's no I'm just in the mood for Minecraft. You got to do it. See? Knew it. Anyway, pretty small week in PoE, but we had a rad week in PoE. Huh?
What a week for us.
That was awesome.
So our private league, this will come out on Sunday. Our private league started on the, 14th, I think. I don't know. 11th. I don't remember. 11th. It's going to run till the 21st. So this comes out on Sunday. Monday it will end at noon PST, Pacific Standard Time. And let's just talk about it. So it was a private league, 10 days, no stash, no rares and magic.
We're out, but it's still on.
Yeah, it was soft core. And again, no stash, no magics and rares. So let's just chat first about our overall thoughts of those modifiers, because I am really curious. I was shockingly in love with it.
That's crazy to me, because when we started that last After Dark, when we were talking about what we were going to do, you were 100% against it right off the bat. You were like, nope, I don't think so. That's stupid. And then all of a sudden the conversation kept going. And by the end of the conversation, you couldn't wait to try a no stash
right.
And no magic, no rares. And I'm really surprised to hear you say this. What do you love about it?
I think it was the simplicity of loot. There was no, a lot of people were complaining about, I don't have the room for it, or as I played, I realized I don't actually need all of this. I have, once I just submitted to the fact that I'm not going to 6 socket and 6 link something. I'm just not. To get enough jeweler orbs to 6 socket something, I would say it's usually for me an average of 100 to 200 jewelers to hit 6. That's an average though, right? Where sometimes it's 40 and sometimes it's 400. I don't have the space for that, so I'm not going to bother. I'm going to get the orb of bindings and I'm going to get harvest. I had lots of harvest 4 and 5 link crafts that I just sat in my horticrafting.
Oh, lucky you. I didn't see 1 5 link.
Yeah, well, I played a little bit better, but it was just a fun. And then mapping, once I got to maps, it made that even more so, where I went okay, some stuff I just don't need. What am I picking up all these essences for? I'm not going to use them. I'm just not. The 95% of these essences I'm not going to use. and then I started to figure out what you could upgrade your you could sell up to, so you get all the way up to the Orb of Regrets, and you're stacking them in 40, and then they're 1-to-1 for Alks, and I don't know, it was so different. I would get into a map, finish the map, get out of the map, and be right back into a map. There was nothing to do.
There's nothing
in between maps. And when you did have something to do, it was very exciting for me. It was like, okay, I just got this item or this thing that I might try to craft. I'm going to spend 20 minutes here now thinking about how do I change my build? How do I adjust my items? How am I going to get this to what I want it to be within the confines of my tiny inventory?
We played so different, but that's awesome. That's really cool.
All right, so tell me what you thought overall.
Well, I loved buying from Ciosa. For the first time in my life, I loved buying from Ciosa. Yeah. I didn't have to go back to my stash. I didn't have to keep track. Yeah, it's either I have it or I don't. And then it was great. And at that stage, I was keeping shards. Like I had alteration shards and alterations kicking around. I had transmutes. So I was going through that. But I don't know what it was. I guess it's because my filter was totally different, because normally there's a certain stage where only certain linked items show up as I'm leveling through the campaign, but then it turns into only rares pretty quick. And sometimes I have good leveling experiences, sometimes I have some pretty bad RNG. That's how this kind of thing goes. I've never had as good a leveling gear as I did this time around. Like by the end of Act 6, I was over 135% on all 3 of my elemental resists. But I think it's because I'm picking up stuff and I'm using my items right away. Like you said, for some reason that you weren't using your essences. Every single one I saved.
Endgame.
Endgame, sure. I used them right off the bat. It was so great because the thing that I loved about it is they're falling for your map level. You're not really getting the lower ones. You know, they're kind of progressing with you a little bit. But there's no point to save them because you're going to get a crappy mod that rolls on them. Now, granted, sure, they're basically an alk with one guaranteed mod per se or theme.
Plus, so many of them are forced to resist, which is awesome.
Right. And so, but you get so many essences during the campaign. They really die down once you hit maps, but it was great. I'm alking this, I'm essencing that, and oh man, it was great. I couldn't find one weapon that worked well for my build, but my resists were awesome. Now,
so what did you think though overall of no stash and no rares in Magic? Question. Yeah, we're starting off with the basics here, bud.
I really love no stash. I enjoyed the short-term aspect of no magic and rares, but I don't think I would enjoy that long-term or doing it on a regular basis. But I really liked having no stash, because the mentality of no stash is, yes, you have to plan for the future, but now is more important. And it's basically your immediate decisions are just going to be what you get, and that's fine. And it really kind of taught me to not worry about it. More stuff's going to fall. And like you said, basically having 40 regrets trade 1-to-1 with Lonnie for Alks. So you could have, instead of having a stack of 10 Alks, you could have a stack of 40 regrets. And that's basically 40 Alks. You have to use them. You have to portal out or whatever it is that you're doing, but you have them. And so it was nice. And all of a sudden I ended up changing my filter to, like, I think, how'd you do your filter? Did you go on base type or did you go sockets, or how did you go about it? Because you're always playing for the now, right?
When I first started, I used the default filter, GGG's default filter. And you realize really quick just how garbage it is. It's not that it's the worst, but it's really, really close to the worst.
Well, do you actually think there's a filter out there that shows more than them? Probably not. I think that GGG's filter is the worst.
Yeah. Well, but then there's the none, right? So I'm using default versus just none. So I'm trying to give them one.
That's a really bad combo when you're the company that cares about item weight and item transference.
And it becomes even worse when you're talking about no rares and no magics, because that doesn't mean there's less loot dropping. It just means all the loot is being dropped as a white item.
Yeah, it's converting. You told me that. It's converting rares and magic items to normal. So it's the same quantity of loot.
Right. And so that becomes way too much very, very quickly. It was really difficult. As I got into like probably Act 5 and Act 6, I was like, I just can't do this. There's so much stuff. And when I'm trying to find, I knew the direction I wanted to go with my build. I knew how I was going to want to play it. So around that point, I got kind of fed up with it and said, okay, I'm going to go in and rebuild one of the filter blades, strip it right down, and make it very specific to the bases that I wanted. I wasn't worried about sockets and colors because almost nothing that I want. What I did was I went, okay, I know I'm going to want these colors. And for me, it was really easy because it's lots of blues and reds for how I was playing. I was playing Essence Drain Contagion. And
and you went Trickster?
so I just started looking. Yeah. So I just started looking at bases that were going to be easy for me to color into what I wanted. And that's all that showed up. I didn't care about anything else. I didn't care sockets, links, any of that kind of stuff. I just wanted to see these specific bases. And I adjusted it as I got a little bit higher up in level. And then that was it. I eventually turned off lower tier maps because I didn't need them anymore. And that was my filter actually worked quite well for me the whole way through. I really actually once I changed it, it was a lot better. What about you?
Well, yeah, so for me, your filter is a very important part of the no stash experience because, okay, well, what is it that I want to save for whatever item that comes up? So for me, I actually only did base types for my weapon and shield. So I was a scion, ascendant, and I was doing fire trap. I went on the east side of the tree. I did dodge, evasion, life, and dot damage. And the thing I love about Fire Trap is that it does 2 dots at the same time. It does burning ground, but it also burns them as 2 separate entities. So they're taking burn damage from the burning ground, but you're also technically igniting and burning them. So I actually don't know. I think it does ignite before the burn. You know how Righteous Fire skips ignite and it's just burn? I forget if the secondary damage from Fire Trap skips ignite or not. But either way, I was doing a Fire Trap, Scion, and lots of dodge and lots of movement speed. I went, of course, Saboteur with my second ascendancy, and then I went Raider for the third ascendancy because I wanted to permanently phase. And I mean, goodness me, how great is that when you're doing ultimatums?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that was really nice. They still got stunned a lot, so I really had to. I died only 37 times, which is pretty good for me. No, and I got to 82, I think it was. So. For me, 37 is pretty good, especially as you're trying to figure stuff out as you get going and you're like, as you're learning how to play a no stash league. And so it actually worked out really well. I thought the build was really strong. I ended up getting a 5 link in. So funny enough, and I don't think I've answered any of your questions yet. As I was mapping, I kept finding fragments. And I'm like, sweet, this is going to help me get Uber Lab. Like, I'm just going to save all these fragments and I'm going to like put them in and then I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to eventually get the trial that I want. I'll get all 6 and it'll be great. And I get to the end and I put them in and I click on the Val thing at the end of my first Val area. And I'm like, oh, wait a second. This isn't the goddess thing. These are like, I mixed up goddesses and fragments. And here I think I got my Uber all set up. And at that point, I'm like, screw it. I'm not going to do 1 Uber trial. I'm just sticking with three trials, but, or 3 ascendancies. But I did tons. So I had about 15 fragments in my inventory, and so I went through, and on my 5th one, I got a 5 link to drop that was corrupted for my colors, and then
nice.
2 maps later, I got a 6 link that was corrupted for my colors. So it was normal. So it was basically a tabula, but it was the exact colors that I wanted. So I was fortunate enough to have a 6 link. So I don't know how strong the build would have been because to me, a 6. It's awesome to have a 6 link, but I'm the type of player, especially from solo self-found land, where a 6 link's a bonus. It shouldn't be required. You know, like I like to plan all my builds around a 5 link. And so I don't know how strong it technically would have been, but I really loved it. I ended up changing. I did the GGG default filter as well, but I ended up only going socket colors. I was quite content with 2 out of my 4 links, my helmet and my boots. I really liked. And so I didn't want to change those colors, the link colors on them, the socket colors. So my gloves kind of like, okay, well, I'm kind of forcing myself to need those gems in that one as well. So what I did with my filter was I'm like, okay, I'll take any helmet that has these 4 linked, right? And so then I did that any helmet or gloves with these socket colors because they use the same socket colors that are linked. And then my boots had to be this socket color. And it was great because I still got those items to show up. It didn't matter on the base type, whatever it was. I just alked it or essenced it. And if it was great, I replaced it. If it wasn't, I moved on. And then I just used all the everything else for resists, and it just flowed really well. So my weapon and my shield and my filter were specific to base types, right? I had the 40% scepters, there's 2 of them, opal and void. And then I had the 9% movement speed shields. I think there's 3 of them, the bucklers. And those are the only ones that I was alching often. All the other gear was, I didn't even have chest show up unless it was a 6 link because I already had one. And yeah, and then there was just the 4 link. So I didn't hold on to any chromatics. I didn't hold on to any jewelers. I didn't hold on to any fusings. The only stuff I held on to was I had an exalt drop, but I got rid of my blessings. I'm like, I'm not re-rolling.
Oh, they were so
Get out of
fun.
here. Blessings?
No, exalt.
Oh yeah, I know. I used it.
them.
I'm like, I've had this shield
Amazing.
for like 8 maps. I may as well use it. Oh wow, I really didn't need that.
Oh, they were bad for me every time, but it was still fun.
Yeah, that's right. So I hung on to, I of course vendored I picked up as many uniques as possible so I could get alch shards so that I could get my alks. I picked up regrets.
I stopped with alch shards, yeah.
So yeah, alks, regrets for the sake of having alks, chaos, and then maps. That was really it. And of course essences, because they're the same thing as alks for the most part. Got rid of everything else. No alterations, no nothing. And it was so fun because my inventory was so clean. And if I actually needed transmutes, I ended up finding something where I wanted to add life to it, or I think it was, or no, it was like a chaos resist thing from a mod from the crafting bench. I needed 8 transmutes, and I'm like, oh, I don't pick up transmutes, so I went and I traded in wisdom scrolls with Lonnie, and I got it, and it was great. It was a lot of fun, and it was just to play for the immediate, but see it be successful, so you didn't have to worry about the future. That was mind blowing to me. It was really weird. Like it's probably going to change the way I play in the future. I'll probably still hoard some
same
stuff.
thing.
Yeah,
I actually thought that it will shift the way, because what I've always done in the past, like one of the weirdest things to turn off in the filter was 6 sockets.
Yeah, I know.
For me to just turn that off and be like, I don't want them, I don't need them, I can't use them,
and to take up
I see them
6 to 8 slots in your
right,
inventory,
and even to get the jeweler orbs, I don't need them. I'm literally not going to use them. There's no way I can give up enough space in my inventory to make it worthwhile. Well, one of the things I realized as I was playing was you can actually do a lot without hoarding all of this, currency, and actually using the currency was a lot of fun. It really was. I had wicked gear, some of the best gear. I got wickedly lucky with some of my drops. We'll talk about our builds in a minute, but it was so much fun crafting gear as I went. And then in my particular example, so I'm playing ED Contagion. I was going Trickster, obviously, just because I love the mana and life back on kill. And I love the Growth Shrouds. There's a lot of defense in it. And then I'm going Glancing Blows. My original plan was shield and a wand. Within the first, I think by the second or third ultimatum, I got a +1 to chaos wand, which that's pretty much done. At that point, I was like, okay, I can take this all the way till the end. I don't need anything. I'd maybe like to get the same on a shield, but it's unlikely for that to happen. So I'm set. And as I'm playing and I get into, I don't remember where I was in the game when the Cane of Unraveling drops. And I'm looking at it going like, okay, this is a lot better. I was not planning to go staff. In fact, my tree was built around some of the shield nodes for defense as well. It was I had so much fun spending like 40 minutes figuring like, how do I change my build now? How do I actually get this thing in? And I had a tabula already at that point. I had 3 tabulas throughout the private league. So I just started valing them for fun because what else am I going to do with it? I'd sell them for divines, and I'm not lying. Divines, most useless currency to me in the private league. In a normal league, they'd be kind of good because I like them for uniques.
Sure.
Useless to me in the private league. It just wasn't useful. I had the cane, and that was it. I don't think I had any other unique items. And I wasn't going to re-roll anything else because I was terrified to like lose my, a resist maybe drops by 2 or 3 points. Well, it's not like I'm just going to be able to go into the trade and figure out an item to fix it. It was so much fun to just sit there and figure out how I'm going to rearrange my tree now. I got to make sure I'm losing a shield. I'm losing resist on that shield. It was really a lot of fun to try and figure out how could I make the build work. And I can't just give up this massive boost to my damage. So glancing blows, and even with, I mean, the Kane's got the 20% to block anyway. I think I had 70% chance to block and like 39 or 40% to spell block by the time that I was playing maps.
You went all the way to the west, hey? You started as a trickster, you said? Wow.
Yep. So I looped around there and grabbed, I mean, originally I had gone there because not only was I grabbing glancing blows, but I grabbed shield nodes that are right around it as well. So I eventually had to pull those out, and then I'm like, what staff nodes are kind of in this area that are actually beneficial to
There's
me?
some good ones. Not dot specific, but they're good ones.
There's very few. There's like, I think I found seven that I could within reason reach that were at least, something. So Cane of Unraveling, Essence Drain, Contagion, Tabula drops. So my whole thing was I wanted a Sadist Garb because it was going to be very easy for me to get 3 blue and 2 green. And there was, I didn't need anything else. I had accidentally been using a 5-link in the Tabula through the whole time. And then also because of Trickster, you want the more evasion on your chest because you get free energy shield out of it, right? So I'm doing, what was I doing? I was doing one of the Al Hazim maps and a 5-link Sadist Garb hunter version or whatever drops of the chest. So I rolled it and got 100 life, a bunch of resist,
you did,
and 4% chance to dodge attacks.
Hillock's talking to the RNG guys. He'd be like, hey, I like this guy.
Yeah, my helm, I knew I wanted an energy shield based helm because again, with the Trickster, it is per is dodge.
Okay.
So you're getting a bonus to your dodge.
No, not dodge.
Evasion.
Oh, thank goodness, because I've been overlooking that for a while, and I'm a dodge freak. Okay, go ahead.
So I rolled that, crafted that, 104 max life, bunch of resists. And then I got, what else did I get? I got Awakened Controlled Destruction on the 3rd Baron that I fought. I never did Cyrus. I never got far enough to do Cyrus, but I didn't care either because there was nothing I wanted in. And the one thing that I found with Essence Drain Contagion, it was, I hadn't played it in a long time. One of my favorite builds ever for mapping. It's just, I love the spread and how you hit one and it's just like, everything just dies. But it is so different to play on bosses as you get higher up, because once they get tanky, you're kind of like, okay, here's my little pew, and then I'm just going to wait. I'm going to run around and find a spot, and I'm going to try and maybe hit you with Blight, but I can't stop to channel. So I don't like it that much for killing bosses. It wasn't as enjoyable, but for the leveling part was awesome.
I
ended up getting one of the
bosses have changed a lot since your last ED playthrough. Like they've done a lot of Metamorph came through, and then they started buffing bosses just after that, slowly, like all the different act bosses and everything. And then they came up with Cyrus. I don't remember the timeline of how all that coincides. And then so I guess it's changed a lot since then.
Yeah, and then I got one of the new, I hadn't seen them before, the Iolite rings, which is they've got an increased chaos damage implicit. So that was cool. I crafted that up to have just life and resist. It just was so much fun to build your entire character without, and I got a Witchfire Brew. A Witchfire Brew.
Of course you did.
Stibnite Flask, which was hilarious because that took out my whole curse. I didn't have to run Despair anymore. So I had a great time with gear. Like my drops were awesome. And I was the 7th person in our league to hit 91. At 91, I was kind of done. Like I went really hard for the first number of days and had a lot of fun because there were a lot of people on. And some of these people are just like, you guys that played the private league are bananas. Like, I don't know how you guys do it as fast as you do it and consistently. Like some of these guys are very consistent at being at the top.
And you're also not allowed coming back. Until Justin and I are at the top, we're kicking everybody out until we're
I don't ever want to be at the top. It was so much fun, like getting messages from people who were trying to catch up. And thank God it wasn't hardcore, because then it just would have, it would have been really tough to play these mods with hardcore.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I got to 91. My whole goal was just, I'm going to get in the top 10. That's all I wanted. I wanted to be in the top 10. I got up to 7th. I was the 7th person to hit level 91. And then I still played for a little bit, but then I died twice. Not right after each other, but
quick enough,
like maybe half an hour later. And I was like, okay, I can't do this. Like, I don't have the time to push this into 92 now. I knew that I was done by like that Monday night, I think Monday by Tuesday. I knew I wasn't going to have any time through the rest of the week.
You got to 91 in 3 days?
Yeah, dude. I was in maps within a day and a half. I've never done that.
No, it's so crazy. Now, like, I think I'll bring that up at the end of our private league session here. I don't know. So a couple crazy things.
Tell me about your stuff. Yeah.
It was weird going to my hideout after I finished campaign. Like, I'm a slow player. I'm fine taking my time. Even in the private league where I'm the threshold for some of the prizes, I'm fine taking my time. I enjoy enjoying the game. When I got to my hideout at the end, after I've done all the annoying Keurig stuff, when you think you're, it's like the Lord of the Rings movie. Now, I love Lord of the Rings, and I didn't feel like this, but I know a lot of people that don't read the books or whatever. You go watch the Lord of the Rings movie, and it's like there's 8 endings. You keep thinking it's going to end, but then there's something else. That's how I feel like with Keurig at the end of this game. Like, you're done. You've done it. Oh no, you got to do a couple little tedious things. Now you're done. No. Now you're done. No. Go here. Okay, now you're done. So anyway, by the time I get to my hideout, I'm like, okay, right. What do I do? Because there's no stash. The first thing you do, you always just run to your stash. You figure it out. No.
I did that in a lot of zones. Like, just especially Act 3. For some reason, Act 3, where you normally would like go up the stairs and that's where you're going to do the lab and stuff. I don't know what it is about that stash, but I ran past it multiple times going, what?
Oh,
what do I do?
So it was weird. It was nice, definitely nice, because I don't know if I would have ever done that content without it, but it was nice that heist and harvest stashes still existed. I wasn't sure if it would. Of course, it makes sense that they're excluded from the limitation of no stash, but imagine what your stash would be like if, well, I guess, because you can't put harvest items anywhere else anyway, but imagine if you actually had to hold on to your heist stuff.
I would just drop them.
I would never pick them up. Yeah. So, but I actually
did stop picking them up.
Yeah, me too.
I eventually was like, why am I picking this stuff up? I'm not going to run.
Yeah. Well, I was doing lots of heists originally, but you know what made me stop? Like, because the gear was great. The currency, there's so much stuff you're getting. The drop rates are totally different. But what really, really annoyed me, because there's no stash, because it was only in the inventory, contraband doesn't stack. So when you get out, you have like multiple half stacks. Yeah. And so then what are you going to do? You like, go to a map, you drop it all, and then you pick it back up. But it became so tedious that I actually stopped. Now, no, like that, it just doesn't mesh. Heist doesn't mesh well with no stash.
Yeah, that's right. Fixer game.
And did that sound good? Did I sound like a...
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. Well, so anyway, the contraband thing kind of turned me off a heist, but I was enjoying it until it got annoying, which was nice. And so I had a couple weird things happen. There were certain aspects of the game where rares would drop, even though rares were turned off. Deliriums, for example, always dropped rare items. Not everything was rare per se, but you would get rare items, just normal rare un-ID'd items, because it came from a delirium reward.
Because it was one of the things, like you rolled like the shield or the weapons or something. So that was the reward type of the delirium. Yep. Little weird though.
But then Syndicate doesn't.
Yeah, and that was even weirder.
It was, because sometimes you would actually get an item to fall that you would have to unveil.
Yeah, but it was white.
No. I had rare ones.
I never had one.
I had about...
From a Syndicate?
Yeah, I had about 6 rare items from a Syndicate fall that I had to unveil. They were rare.
No,
they were rare.
From like killing a Syndicate boss?
And so I'm doing it, and I had people watching me. I'm going, and like, I'm not expecting any rare items to drop. I'm just doing it for the sake of progressing Syndicate. I like the extra bosses in a map type of thing. So I'm going through, and I'm not expecting anything to drop. All of a sudden, something drops. I'm like 10 maps into my experience, and they're dropping. Just once. And then I go through, and nothing's dropping as expected, and all of a sudden I do... Another one drops. It was weird. I had maybe 5 of them, and people saw it. They witnessed. They're like, I didn't know. I didn't think they did. I've been avoiding it. And I'm like, I didn't know either.
The only spot I saw unveiled, or, items to unveil, was from ultimatums. That was the only spot I saw where I was finding items that could be unveiled, was through ultimatums.
No, mine were from Syndicate kills, like Syndicate experiences, which was quite odd. But, okay, so I had an awesome ritual in one of my maps where I'm going through and I'm killing, you do the thing. And you know how ritual, right? They respawn the monsters you've killed. Well, I got invaded from a Syndicate member in that same instance. I never even crossed my mind that Syndicate member would be respawned with the ritual. I didn't think that was a thing because there's such a unique circumstance. I thought it would be excluded. And the funny thing is I had my metamorph complete, Tane or Tane, whatever his name is, showed up while I'm killing the ritual guys to start the ritual, to be able to initiate it. So I guess my last metamorph piece was there. And so I could have, had I known that the ritual guy would, or the syndicate member would respawn with the ritual, I would have done what's it called? The metamorph boss as well, and then started the ritual, but I didn't know. So that was kind of cool. I didn't know that like those actual separate league mechanics would integrate like that. So that was really exciting. But wasn't it weird seeing normal influenced items? Those don't show up in my filters at all. I'm a rare only kind of guy once I get going, and every time a sword, an elder sword fell or whatever it was, I'm like, whoa, it's awesome, and then I'm like, whoa, man, maybe it's something, and I'm like, oh right, no,
it was exciting to craft.
I'll alch it and move on. I treated them like the exact same thing.
I got great items from that.
Did you?
My ring, my chest. I think that's it. But yeah, no, I thought it was weird to see them obviously drop as white.
Yeah, it was weird for me.
I want to ask you something. If Ultimatum didn't exist, we talked about this a little bit, but I think that if Ultimatum didn't exist, if the game was consistent, which it's not, with regards to what's going to drop as rare and what's not going to drop as rare, I didn't feel like it was consistent at all. I never saw anything from Betrayal. For some reason, I would see them in Delirium. You could get them in Ritual, and you could get them in Ultimatum. But that was it. You weren't getting anything in a Breach run.
Or Heist,
you weren't getting Breach. Right. What I would think that those mods we played would be way more difficult if you had if it was a really no rares and no
so
magic
if Ultimatum didn't give us the rares, right? If we were doing this,
it was just a white item. That's it. Yeah, it would be way harder. Ultimatums were a huge source of leveling gear and even endgame gear. It wasn't always what would work perfect with your build, but when you're in an SSF, no rares, no magic, and no stash, it was one of your best spots to find stuff.
Yeah, whether you're going to use it or not, you vendor it or you keep it, and it really increased your currency. I am curious why some of those league mechanics were excluded and while other ones weren't excluded from the don't show rares.
Just curious, yeah.
Maybe it's an oversight because it's just a league mechanic that's for one of the many private leagues options. But it does, if you are going rare, no rares, you want it to be no rare.
Yeah, I don't know what I would like. As I played it, I was thinking, oh my God, thank God Ultimatums exist, because this would be truly what I feel like they meant it to be, which is you craft everything. It wasn't that at all. Like I crafted most, but I certainly didn't have to craft everything because of Ultimatums.
My rituals had rares in them.
Yeah, rituals do.
Oh, okay.
I said that.
Fine. Same team then. Yeah, it'd be cool if the no rare thing actually applied to all of that, all those screens and everything too. That would be pretty neat.
We'll never know.
Now, here's the thing. My PC now runs the game worse than my Xbox, right? Because I got an Xbox Series X now. Didn't upgrade my PC, of course. It's just lots of money all at once if I'm going to do both. So now my console's better than my PC. Now, you know the specs of my computer. What can we let's tell people, just because everybody has their own opinions and hey, do you have this, do you have that? But after we tell people what my specs are, do you think my computer should be able to handle PoE? Like what PoE is supposed to be? Lots of monsters, lots of rares. Throw this monster in, freak the crap out of you, like a busy screen. So I'm playing, going through the campaign. Campaign's never where you test the game out anyway, but the game's fine. Like there's some hesitation, there's some bugs and issues, sure, but whatever. I'm going through, I'm fine with it. As a QA tester from my past, I was a QA tester for I think 7 years at Electronic Arts. I was fine with the product. The second I'm getting into item level 68 plus, map level 68 plus, ultimatums started to turn into rituals of the old days. Like there was some hesitancy. And now, let me correct that. Nowhere near as bad, but not acceptable. Like I'm back in the single digits. It doesn't last long, but it does. Some deaths happen, of course, because of that. You can't see some of your key binds or your key operations aren't being applied because the game's stuttering at that second. So, what are my specs? I wrote them down here.
Okay, so here's what Tyler's specs are. You have an AMD 8350, which is it's considered an 8-core processor, and you have 8 gigs of RAM, you have a 1070, and you do run on an SSD. Your 1070 and the SSD are totally fine. Your processor and your memory are like bare bones, especially when you throw in the fact that you like to stream, and streaming is going to put a load on the CPU. Path of Exile is notoriously bad for its CPU usage. So those two things are like, and your new Xbox will crush both those two settings just on their own. So yeah, I don't know. To be honest, don't know. I would imagine you're probably well over even the recommended specs that GGG puts out, but I don't think that means anything, because as we've seen, and when you get into the rituals and you get into the ultimatums and you get into the stuff that is very intense on the computer, those two parts of your machine are going to struggle. All right, so their recommended stats are an x64 compatible CPU, quad core 3.2 gigahertz or better. So yours is technically above this. This is just their recommended.
For the processor?
8 gigs. Yeah, 8 gigs of memory. Again, the recommended. And then the 1050 Ti. So the graphics cards you're higher than on, but your 8 gigs to me is kind of like,
oh, that was the minimum.
Bare
I see
minimum.
the recommended 16. Yeah, okay, there it is.
What it shows on this thing is, but yeah, 16 seems a little more fair.
So should I be, I guess my question is, should I expect the game to run well on my system, or should I expect it to run poorly?
I would expect when you're talking ultimatum type stuff that you're going to struggle, especially if you're streaming.
Okay, and that's
even my system. I feel
that's acceptable then. Like, you're the tech guy, you know specs. I don't. I'm the kind of guy where I ask. Is it
acceptable?
Friend, well, should GGG be making a game that works on a system like mine? Or is my system so old school that they shouldn't be considering systems like mine?
I don't know. I think what GGG should be doing is allowing you to actually pull down all of the settings to make sure that the stuff that is causing it to not run so well maybe could be dumbed down and let it be acceptable for somebody to see very little particles, to take a lot of that stuff out.
Oh, okay.
I think they should let people do that to not make it so taxing. And I would love to see them do something, and they have been a little bit with Vulkan, but stop making it so reliant on the CPU and start using the power of the GPU that a lot of these computers have.
I guess they're in the process of it. Like, I'm running on the bare bones in terms of settings. Everything's down. Everything's minimum or none, off, whatever the lowest setting is. And I guess like they just came out with a patch where they're trying to use more of the video card. They're trying to use Vulkan. They're trying to do the texture streaming, all that kind of stuff. Like, they're in the process, I guess. But even as a fan that shouldn't have to know all that kind of stuff, I guess it's acceptable per se that my computer is meh with the quality of the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally. I would say so when it comes to PC games.
All right.
It's there's too much of a spread between people's hardware. And if you're running sort of right at the line of what the minimum is for them, you're going to experience the fact that, yes, it's going to work fine as you're leveling and you're going through the normal stuff, but you start throwing the crazy amount of stuff that PoE does, it's going to struggle.
I guess we'll have to see what the recommended specs for Age of Empires 4 are and go from there. So, right. Yeah. So we already talked about the filter changes that we made, but there was something that I discovered while this private league was on that actually took a bit of time for me to try and figure out. Did you know that accounts on the Path of Exile website can have a maximum of 30 filters? So out of the filters I provide for the community, for everyone filters and for my guides, I have 24 filters, right? 1 filter for my guides, 1 filter for everyone, 4 stages for each. And then, so that's 8. And then there's 3 platforms. So that's 24. And then of course I'm always running through ideas and testing stuff. Private League 1 for Chris's build. All of a sudden I'm at 30 and I don't even have space to create one for the private league. So who knew? 30 filters. That's your max.
What are you going to do?
You know. So now I definitely have to go with progressive filters because I don't have the space for anything else.
That is ridiculous.
Now, here's something for you, and this is going to cause controversy if people like controversy. This league, now I've always been on the side of Path of Exile is a free-to-play game. I know that there's a lot of people, and in terms of their marketing strategy, there's 0 pay to win. Like, it's all cosmetics. The reason that people sometimes argue that Path of Exile is a pay to win or pay to play game is because they don't provide you with, in their opinion, enough stash space, right? You don't get the currency tab. You don't get
Fancy
this,
ones,
right?
sure.
So I thought you get 4. Some people were saying, or I thought you get 5 currency tabs for free, or not currency tabs, just normal tabs for free.
Tabs.
Other people were saying 4. So whether it's 4 or 5,
I thought it was 4.
And they're not public. They're not premium tabs, so you can't sell with them, but you can stash.
You can. You just have to use another application.
Sure. So now I've always been on the side where, no, this game is 100% free to play. You don't need more than those 4 stashes to play. Having 4 stashes will teach you what's important. You'll have to make some tough decisions, but that's how the game works. You shouldn't have access. You shouldn't need everything available to you right away to learn the game. Learn what's important and then move on. Like, to me, before this private league, 4 stash tabs has been more than enough for a free to play game. So I've always been on Path of Exile as a free to play game. Now, having played with no stash, this game is, and I've had one of the most successful leveling experiences that I've ever had. Now, like, the argument, from my opinion, is even further that it's a free to play game. Like, there's no argument for me now on the other side.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I always have agreed with you that it is a free to play game. I would argue a little bit that you could never learn this game without inventory and stash tabs, because we know what we're doing and looking for. It makes it a little bit easier to play with a single inventory. But I think a lot of that could also be solved with the whole culling of loot, because if you played this game coming in new and you didn't have filters and you only had 4 stash tabs, hopefully somebody told you don't pick everything up, because 4 stash tabs are not going to do jack squat. But I agree. It's a ridiculous argument to say that it's not enough. Of course it's enough. And if you don't like it, pay a couple bucks.
You don't need everything you're saving, and use the currency that you're getting. Like, you're going to, like, I never in this build, I alked everything. Alked or essenced every base that I had in my filter that showed. And I had more, and I was alking every map. Every single map I was alking.
Me too.
And then I
started valing them just for fun.
Right. So 4 stash tabs. Now, yes, we know what we're doing, but at the same time, if you're new, you need to be figuring out and making these decisions. So anyway, this really solidified for me that this is, real free to play, real free to win. So anyway.
That's fine.
Yeah. Now, before we move on, we kind of touched on this at the beginning. How do you think this is going to impact you? Like, this league kind of really opened our eyes. We started doing our private leagues in ways that we didn't like. When we started doing these Forever Exile private leagues, we started doing them just to piss people off, but also to try new stuff for us. It's only 10 days. So we started getting into the hardcore bit, right? Something we thought we would hate. Okay, we're out. That was fun to experience. We're never going to do it again until next league. This really changed things for me. I think this is going to change how I play normally on a regular basis. You?
I imagine it will. I don't know. I imagine it will. I feel like I'm going to be much freer with spending currency.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I think that I'm not going to be hoarding currency. I'm going to be alking if I have an alk. After I have my setup, like, I was saving my alks to make sure that I had the gems that I needed. You know, when you get into Act 4, some of the gems cost alks. Once I had that set up, I was throwing alks out like dollar bills.
A little bit hard, though, because have to figure out, though, I think the one place I'll struggle when we go back to a normal league is I will be going back to a semi-regular filter, which is not going to show me the white items. So then you don't have the currency to use because you didn't pick up the white item. So I may have to, I'm not sure how that will play in, because if I'm not picking up the white base types and instead just waiting for the rares to drop,
well,
then I may not be using them.
You weren't getting currency from your whites, though. I think.
No, but I wouldn't pick them up. When we go into the next league, my filter is not going to show me white items.
But it's still going to show you you'll have even more currency, I would think.
No, but I wouldn't be using the currency to craft an item because you know what I mean? So,
but you'll have more currency to be free with, is I guess where I'm going at.
Sure, but to be free with what? If I don't have the item to craft onto,
sure, okay,
then there's no benefit to me to having all of the currency. So I don't know, it'll be tough to figure that out, because part of the fun of this league was I was starting from scratch. I would pick up an item that had nothing. I just knew it was the base type that I wanted, and then I would be crafting onto it. Whereas in a normal league, I would never have seen that item. I would never have even picked it up. I would be picking up, in my case, most of the time, picking up the rare, IDing it, which thank God I didn't have to pick up wisdom scrolls almost at all this league. I loved it. But I would be IDing the item and then going, oh, no good. Tossing it, pick up some alt shards, whatever. So I may never get to the point of actually using all of that currency in the normal way that I play a league.
I understand.
So I'm not sure yet. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I think for me, the change is I'm going to be pretty free with my currency. Once my build's set up, I'll be like, check it out. Let's re-roll it. Check it out. I know the currency's coming back, so let's go. Yeah, like I never even ran out of maps, man. People like I remember
so many maps. I started throwing away whites. I wouldn't pick up the white ones. I was up into reds. I was up to tier 14, I think.
Dang. I was just touching yellows by the time I got done, but it got to the point where I had a section in my inventory where I was saving in case I was getting a lot of one kind of map. And then I would just trade it in 3-1. But I only was able to do that a couple times. And then I just started getting so many new maps that I was alting every single map just to see. And if it said completed, I moved on, didn't pick it up.
It was so fun to pick up a chisel and use it.
Yeah.
To pick up a whetstone and use it. Like there were certain pick up a GCP, a gemstone cutter,
right
whatever,
off the bat,
use it right away.
Yeah.
Why would I hold on to
That's
it?
right.
It was such a fun way to deal with some of the currency that you just didn't normally do with them. So I don't know. I hope everybody had a good time with this private league. It was totally outside of our comfort zone. It was something brand new, and I really, really had a blast. It was fun chatting with people on Discord in General 2121. So, good luck to the rest of you guys who have a couple more days left once this comes out to see how high up you can get. And we had a blast. So thank you guys for playing with us.
100%, for sure. Now, this isn't related, but I wanted to ask before any more announcements come out, right? We're about a month away from the next league, and dates are going to be thrown around. I just want to get this out beforehand, kind of some guessing game. So remember, Cyberpunk got kind of delayed the Q4 release. I don't know, what was it, 312? I don't know. It was the Christmas release, the Christmas expansion that we had, the league, got delayed a month, or I guess whatever. I don't know. That was a 4-month league instead of a 3-month league, and then the league after that. But it's been 3-month league since. And I believe I remember one of the GGG folks saying that one of these leagues is going to be a shorter league because they want to get back to releasing before Christmas. They were considering continuing doing releases after Christmas, but I mean, the amount of money you make before Christmas is nuts, and you got to accept it. So that would mean, if that's still the case, if they're still planning for a pre-Christmas release, that means either the coming League 315 or 316 is going to be a short league, a 2-month league. Any guesses with what's been announced for
316?
Do you think it's going to be 316?
Yep.
Why?
Only because of how the timing would work. If you go into 316 and it's a shorter league, your retention, I don't know what their plan is for 315 and 316, but I would think that they would go, if we can release a 316 league that has a very good retention, our 317 will crush. And if we can get that up before Christmas, it's a happy Christmas, Merry Christmas for everyone.
It's when they change their end game and then they go on frickin' Christmas break.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's hard to say too, because do you want only a 2-month lead up to the one that would be the bigger one? So if that's the case, then maybe 315 becomes the 2-month so that they have more time to be prepping for 317, which would be the one that comes out closer to Christmas
with their new
time.
setup.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I also don't care. I'm fine either way.
Totally.
It makes no difference.
It's just a fun thing to discuss. What do you think? I don't know, because I see the benefit as well. Like for me, I see it more not about their prep time, but more about their retention time, like the timing of retention and money and where that comes from, right? Because sure, there's going to be more people playing at the 2-month mark than there will be at the 3-month mark. So if you know ahead of time that the league's going to be cut short and it's only going to be 2 months, maybe you're going to have a lot more people that are still going and going and going. And then you're coming out with your new mystery packs and you're coming out with your new end game hype. So maybe that makes more sense from a marketing perspective. But then there's also...
You better already be planning for 317 though during 315, because that's a 2-month lead up. That's not much.
But then maybe there's also the part where they want people to burn out, right, at the 1.5-month mark and of 316. And then there's like a month and a half of them waiting. And then, there's that, okay, so yeah, I've burnt out. I need my month off. But then they start pining again. And then you come back. I can see pros from both. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But it'll be neat. I wonder what the decision will be, like what kind of league they would make a 3-month league or 2-month league. I don't know if they've ever had a 2-month league since they started this quarterly setup. So what what do? They got ragged on for Ultimatum being a ritual. But I thought it was great. I don't care.
Just make it a square this time. Just don't go circle. Go square.
No one will figure it out.
Then people can't complain.
Right. Like Acts 6 to 10 are basically the exact same maps as 1 to 5. So we'll never figure it out. Right?
Just do a backward circle.
Oh, perfect.
Or an upside down one. Nobody will know.
Anyway, awesome private league. Thanks everyone for joining. We're excited to see how it ends.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you guys so much. All right, let's wrap up episode 88, Forever Exiled, a Path of Exile podcast. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
I'm T-Bone. Wouldn't that be awesome if you called me T-Bone? I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Never will. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Patrons, will catch you guys in After Dark. Everybody else will catch you in 89. If you're curious about more information, you'll find it down below. Website foreverexiled.com. We're on Twitter, foreverexiled82. Our Discord is in there. Hop in and say hi. And you can find more information about our Patreon, which will get you access to After Dark. Peace.
Chris was ragging on us while we were hanging out playing Formula 1. He's like, what do you mean seat down below? I'm listening to you in my truck. There's nothing down below, you morons. It was pretty awesome. Recording. Hey, gorgeous. No, I got D&D.